Some players burst into the NFL with a fanfare of fireworks, front-page headlines, and the weight of an entire franchise resting squarely on their shoulders. Others arrive with a chip on their shoulder, a quiet fire burning within them, and a vision that no one else seems to believe in. Beneath the polished press conferences and the locker room camaraderie, however, a storm is gathering within one of the league's most volatile quarterback dynamics. Shedeur Sanders didn't merely slip in the NFL draft, he plunged from the bright lights into the shadows. Just weeks before, his name was among the elite, touted as a top prospect, yet on draft day he tumbled to the 5th round, a drop that raised more questions than answers about a player of his pedigree. It's not merely a slip, it's a resounding message from all 32 franchises. And yet, in true Sanders fashion, he entered Cleveland not with resentment, but with unwavering belief. That's where the real intrigue begins. If draft day disappointment wasn't enough of a wake-up call, the Browns delivered an even louder message by selecting Dillon Gabriel before Sanders. Gabriel, the flashy Oregon quarterback, heard his name called first, leaving Sanders to trail a player just as untested as himself. Yet Shedeur didn't flinch. Instead of sulking, he embraced the challenge, standing shoulder to shoulder behind Gabriel, Pickett, and Flacco on the depth chart. What transformed this from a mere quarterback competition into something far more compelling is the fact that the stakes have never been higher, and the clock is ticking. Despite the mounting pressure, Shedeur's presence in Cleveland has been electric. On his own YouTube channel, he shared his enthusiasm for the journey. "It's lit," he declared about the quarterback room. That spark might catch some off guard, especially considering he's not the starter, nor even the second option, but Shedeur is playing the long game. He's absorbing every nugget of wisdom from the veterans and devouring NFL reps like a sponge. He might not be QB1 yet, but he's behaving like a man who knows his moment is on the horizon, just not today. Has he been underestimated or the doubts justified? Let us know what you would do if you were in Kevin Stefanski's shoes. And if you want more exclusive, behind-the-scenes content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. There's always that one pivotal moment, subtle, silent, that transforms the entire atmosphere of a fan base. It's not always a blockbuster trade or a fiery press conference meltdown. Sometimes it's a single digital action. And while fans roar over highlight reel plays on Sundays, it's often in the shadows of the locker room where the real narrative begins, especially when the presumed cornerstone of a franchise suddenly steps into the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. On an unassuming Thursday, defensive lineman Ogbo Okoronkwo made a move that seemed trivial. He double-tapped a post on Instagram. Yet in the realm of professional sports, even a simple like can carry the weight of a headline. The post in question? It criticized Myles Garrett's absence from Browns OTAs, subtly questioning his commitment to leadership. Now, Ogbo and Garrett aren't strangers. They're teammates. And this wasn't some random fan's hot take. It echoed sentiments reportedly shared by several within the Browns' inner circle. A small gesture, but in today's social media world, even the tiniest spark can ignite a wildfire, especially when it comes to locker room intrigue. The post Ogbo engaged with pulled no punches, spotlighting Garrett's choice to skip OTAs for a trip to Japan with Olympic snowboarder Chloe Kim. The timing more than anything raised eyebrows, especially after his lucrative $160 million 0-cents extension, designed not just to cement his on-field dominance, but to solidify his role as a team leader. The caption leaned into that narrative, quoting ESPN's Nick Pace, who bluntly questioned whether Garrett was truly the defensive leader the Browns so desperately need. In a team craving stability, those kinds of questions can hit harder than a blindside sack. What makes this moment feel even more charged is that, allegedly, this isn't the first time Garrett has been, shall we say, fashionably late. Whispers of him skipping mandatory team activities or rolling into the facility on his own schedule have circulated before, never fully confirmed, rarely denied. So here's the question: does leadership demand constant presence and accountability, or is on-field performance enough? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear your take on this unfolding drama, and hey, If you love getting the raw, unfiltered truth about your team with no sugarcoating, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. So hit that like button now and join me as I unveil every detail. Just when Browns fans thought the offseason would settle, everything flipped on its head during OTA sessions, and it's no longer just about Deshaun Watson's lingering injuries. The quarterback landscape in Berea now looks more like a collegiate all-star showcase than a conventional NFL depth chart. At the heart of this storm sits Joe Flacco, 40 years old, all business, speaking like he's already claimed the throne. And you know what? He just might be right. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's a lot to unravel, and trust me, you'll want to hear every bit of it. This is no ordinary quarterback battle. The Browns now boast Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dillon Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders, each with a completely distinct background, style, and narrative. The leadership knew it had to move swiftly after Watson's latest setback, so they didn't hedge their bets. They went all in, adding 2 proven veterans and drafting 2 promising rookies in a single offseason. It's either going to be a masterclass in roster construction or the kind of high-stakes gamble that defines or derails seasons. But if you ask Joe Flacco, he's got no doubts about the outcome. "I'm going to win this job," he declared to Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer. Just like that 17 seasons in the league, a Super Bowl ring, and Flacco still speaks like a rookie with something to prove. But it's not empty bravado, it's conviction. And that conviction is resonating throughout the locker room. Flacco's message isn't just about confidence, it's laced with a keen self-awareness. He knows there's a new generation waiting in the wings, literally. One of those young quarterbacks is Shedeur Sanders, son of Dillon Sanders, a man Flacco says he probably wasn't far from facing on the gridiron back in the day. That's the kind of context that sharpens the significance of this quarterback clash. Here's a quarterback who launched his NFL journey in the 2000s, now throwing passes to teammates who were barely in elementary school when he hoisted the Lombardi Trophy. And yet Flacco isn't just going through the motions. He's studying film, competing in drills, and mentoring his young teammates. That's what makes this quarterback room so unique. It's not toxic, it's not tense, it's unexpectedly supportive. And that starts with Flacco's approach. "I want to be a really good teammate," he said. "I love being in that locker room. I'm not worried about teaching guys and having it come back to bite me. That's rare, that's powerful, and it might be exactly what Cleveland needs right now." Though Flacco currently sits atop the depth chart, the battle is far from over. Kenny Pickett, acquired via trade from the Eagles, still believes he's a starter in this league. Then there's Dillon Gabriel, the prolific Oregon product, and of course, Shedeur Sanders, one of the most polarizing and intriguing quarterback prospects in recent draft memory. These aren't just camp bodies, they're legitimate threats with real upside, and all of them are learning from a veteran who, despite the odds, still believes he has something left to give. It's a wild twist in a quarterback saga that has been nothing short of tumultuous in Cleveland. But the leadership isn't stopping with the offense veteran guard Joel Bitonio, who nearly retired after a grueling 2024 season, is back with a mission, and he's got a message every Browns fan needs to hear. "We've got to be tough up front," Bitonio declared. "We've got to turn 2- and 3-yard runs into 4- and 5-yard gains. Our defense has to be ferocious. It's all about toughness. It starts at training camp. This isn't just veteran talk. It's a cultural transformation. The Browns are done hoping the stars align. They're doubling down on identity, on grit, on physicality, on being the kind of team that doesn't blink when adversity strikes. Because, as Bitonio put it, the difference between making the playoffs and missing them is often about how you respond when adversity strikes. You're going to lose some games, he said. How do you bounce back? How do you avoid letting one loss snowball into 2? That same mentality is permeating every facet of this team, especially the defense. Greg Newsome, now stepping into a more prominent leadership role in the wake of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah's devastating neck injury, isn't pulling any punches. "We all have a lot to prove this season," Newsome declared. "Don't get complacent. This is a league that will humble you fast." And he's right. That 2023 Browns playoff team, that group is history. This version is different. hungrier, sharper, and they're not interested in replaying past achievements. They're forging something new, something tougher, something sustainable. So the big question for Browns fans is this: is this all just talk or the spark of something truly transformative? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And here's where things get even more compelling. While the offense undergoes its own metamorphosis and the quarterback room dominates the headlines, it's the defense that may ultimately determine whether this Browns team mounts a legitimate challenge in 2025. Greg Newsome isn't just speaking boldly, he's leading by example. And with the loss of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, the pressure on this unit has reached a level it hasn't felt in years. Newsome's words carry weight because they're forged in experience. He's witnessed the highs, like that dominant 2023 defense that made Sundays a nightmare for opposing offenses, and the lows, the fatigue of carrying too much of the load when the offense failed to sustain drives. That regression wasn't merely about missed tackles or blown coverages. It was about momentum, about rhythm, about constantly being forced back onto the field before you'd even caught your breath. But this year, no one's using that as a scapegoat. Jim Schwartz, the mastermind behind that 2023 defensive resurgence, is still steering the ship, and he's not mincing words. The Browns must be elite. No excuses, no exceptions. That's why the team doubled down in the draft, selecting defensive tackle Mason Graham and linebacker Carson Schwinger. These aren't developmental prospects. They're instant impact reinforcements meant to reignite the fire and energy in a defense that knows what dominance feels like and craves it again. Meanwhile, the culture shift that Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry have been driving is unmistakable. Rookie camp didn't feel like orientation, it felt like a proving ground. OTAs aren't casual walkthroughs anymore, they're intense, sharp, and focused. You can sense the urgency. No one's talking about flashing potential. They're demanding execution and delivering results right now. Even in the locker room, there's a different energy. Young players like Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel aren't starstruck. They're dialed in, and they've got veteran mentors who are embracing the role of teacher rather than gatekeeper. That's rare, that's powerful, and it's why this team could surprise everyone, because this isn't about leaning on one side of the ball anymore. It's about balance, accountability, and building a Cleveland Browns team that doesn't just reach the playoffs, but belongs there. Thank you guys. See you next video.